All right, moving on to black, sorted by commons, uncommons, rares, mana value within each of those categories. That's going to start us off with Blood Fountain. Single black for an artifact. When it enters the battlefield, create a blood token. And then it has 3 and a black, tap, sack Blood Fountain, return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand.
Interesting card. It's got some cards moving from different card zones multiple times vibes. So you play this, you get a blood token, which we've established is something that we like, at least in theory. And then later in the game, you either pay for, get back 2 creatures that have gone to your yard, or the joke with this card is you discard a creature, gets to the yard, you draw a new card, and it's card advantage, right? This is a card advantage engine, or a card advantage card, I should say, not so much an engine.
Yeah, this is. I mean, I feel like much like a crawl from the cellar or whatever. I feel
very.
It's like most black decks want a copy of this kind of effect.
Yeah, it's just a new spin on that kind of effect. I think it's a little bit worse than that because crawl, when you drew it, you're like, ooh, immediately 1 mana, get back my 4 mana play. This is a little
different.
Bit
yeah,
slower. Yeah, it's different exactly. The card advantage is baked into the more expensive cost, not the cheaper cost, right? Or sorry, the getting back something at all is baked into the more expensive cost, whereas crawl was like the card advantage is when you spend a lot. But yeah, I think this is a solid playable card. The blood token does a lot for this, so I'm gonna start this as a C.
Yeah, I like it. C sounds good to me.
Next up, we've got Gifted Fangs. So this is a single black mana for an aura. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 as long as it's a vampire. Otherwise, it gets -2/-2.
Oh, cool. So throwback to whatever that human aura from OG Innistrad was.
Yeah, Bonds of Faith, I think it's called. Yeah. So I mean, most of the time you're gonna be happy with this. It's the -2/-2 dead weight, essentially, right? Now, sometimes you face a vampire deck and this is in your hand, you're gonna be very sad. So it's gonna be pretty interesting. Obviously, it's nice if you have it in your vampire deck because you get some modality in there. You're most likely going to be doing -2/-2, but sometimes you put it on your own vampire. All in all, I think we've seen like enough cheap good creatures so far that I'm pretty happy with this effect for 1 mana. Sometimes it's like all about the big things, like in Ikoria, where this card wasn't so good. Outside of against cycling or whatever, I think this version of this effect is going to be pretty decent.
Decent, like C plus.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a C-level card.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna want it, but it's gonna hurt sometimes. Like the times when you do play against the green-white deck and you nab their 3-drop, it's gonna feel real good. And then the times, you faced a red-black deck, you're still gonna have targets. That's the thing. It just maybe isn't. You're not gonna have. They play a vamp on turn 2. You really would have liked to spend your turn killing that vampire so you don't get beaten down. You maybe have to wait a little bit till they play something else.
Next up is Persistent Specimen, the exploit fodder of your dreams. Single black for a 1/1 skeleton. You can pay 2 and a black to return it from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped.
There it is, your repeated exploit enabler here.
Yeah. / you're happy to discard this to some discard stuff. I guess the reason this doesn't go back to your hand is because it'll be so sick with that 1/3 looter.
Oh, yeah, imagine if Sanitarium Skeleton was in this
right.
set. Or, I mean, blood tokens, too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as it stands, how do you feel about just using this as a very slow trump blocker, basically?
I mean, if that's all I'm doing with it, I don't like it. But
there's enough things that are going to happen.
There's blood tokens, there's exploit. I think this is going to be a good role player. I think one of these is going to be a good role player.
This is the kind of card you want one of, exactly. Like you're saying. It's like you want one in some decks, and otherwise you don't really want to touch it. So I think that evens out to about a C.
Yep, I like it at C.
Next up, we've got Undying Malice. Single black mana for an instant. Until end of turn, target creature gains. When this creature dies, return to the battlefield under its owner's control with a +1/+1 counter. So, pretty similar. I mean, I think it's exactly Feign Death from AFR, right?
I don't remember any cards from AFR.
Okay, that's fine.
It's a black hole. It's a black hole in my memory.
It was exactly this card, and there was enough ETB effects that this did pretty good work, right? And I think so far we've seen, not an insane amount of ETB effects, but exploit is an ETB effect. Does this? I saw a little rumbling on one of the discords. This kind of goes infinite with the blue scob, where you can target it, sack itself, it comes back, it buys it back. So if you have enough mana and enough reasons for something to die, you can get a loop going where you have infinite death triggers.
Oh my god! Sure, yeah.
If that were to come up, But the joke here is that, like, you can retrigger your exploit creatures, I think, and then whatever ETB creatures you have. So this is a perfectly serviceable trick. I actually came around to liking this card quite a bit in AFR, so I imagine it's going to do similar work here.
Yeah, this is cheap trick. Card comes back bigger and rebuys ETB effects. I think that's all adds up to first copies of C for me.
Yep, I'm into it.
Next is Doomed Dissenter. People keep talking about this and saying Doomed Traveler. This Doomed Traveler is not in the set. Doomed Dissenter, 1 of the black for a 1/1. When it dies, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. More fodder, baby.
Yeah. This is the exact thing where it's like, all right, well, maybe I'm not exploiting and getting full value out of my effect, but, I guess I'm turning my 1/1 into a 2/2.
And zombie synergy. But I think
zombie synergy.
This is like a synergy C+.
Yeah, this is pretty nice. I'm into this.
I guess it's probably just a C+, maybe?
It's just a C. Yeah, I think it's just a C. It's a good roadblock against X1s, too. There's a little bit of X1 hate, essentially, right? But yeah, I like this as just a C.
Okay.
All right, next up, Mind Leech Ghoul. So this is 1 of the black for a 2/2 zombie. It's got Exploit, and when it exploits a creature, each opponent exiles a card from their hand.
Yeah, I think this is a whatever for me.
Yeah, I'm not so into this. This is a filler 2 drop, like filler. I mean, not filler minus.
It's like filler minus.
This is again. If you need a way to sacrifice your stuff, it's fine. But the output is not particularly exciting. So I think it's like a D+.
Yep, I like it a D+ as well.
All right.
Next is Vampire's Kiss, a little smooch. 1 in a black for a sorcery. Target player loses 2 life. You gain 2 life. Create 2 blood tokens. This is the real question, Alex.
How much do we like?
How much of a card? Right. This is the great question we all like to ask ourselves. How much of a card is treasure? How much of a card is venture? How much of a card is a blood token?
I gotta say, I hate the question. I feel like it's so nebulous and it doesn't mean anything. But I'll humor everybody.
That's interesting. That'd be a fun debate to have at some point, because I actually like that question in theory, because I think I feel like that's a valuable thing to wrap your head around as a card evaluator.
Yeah, maybe like early on, like when you're really trying to like peg, like, okay, where am I ballparking this card?
Yeah.
I think not to get too deep into this, I feel like it's like, week 4 of the format, and you're like, oh, it's like, but this is worse,
Oh yeah, when you get down to is it a quarter of a card? Is it a third of a card? Yeah, sure, I agree that I agree with. Actually, trying to peg that, but just in the abstract of like.
Yes, ballparking it is helpful. I agree with that. So Vampire's Kiss is interesting because I could see this being a bit of a sleeper, actually. Like,
right?
Yeah, I think it's cheap enough, and you're getting 2 materials, 2 pieces of cardboard that you can do whatever with, right? The life gain is relevant because you're like, gives you some time to do whatever you would like to do with those blood tokens. This is a synergy card, don't get me wrong. It's not just like a throw it into any deck. But it's like a resource card, right? It gives you some sort of resource. And a weird analog is like a ramp card if you have enough things that care about blood tokens, right? And so, like, this is not an every deck card. This is not a card that you're just going to throw in. But if you have enough uses for the blood tokens, and that could be things that explicitly ask for blood, sacrifices, or you actually really want to get things into the graveyard, I think this is a card that you should be on the lookout for. So I don't know what grade we want to give it. It's really kind of tough to grade this kind of card, but
the other thing that I want to say about this, and I'm probably just going to start it off at like a D+ or whatever, but the other thing I want to say about blood tokens, the more hand manipulation you have, the more situational cards like this I am happy to put in my deck.
Right, exactly.
Because I'm like, look, when this card's going to be good, then I'm happy to cast it. And when it's not, then I can use one of my blood tokens or whatever to discard it. Like, the more Electric Revelations you had in your red spells deck, the more you could play. It's like, cool, I'm happy to have Abandon the Post, because sometimes Abandon the Post is going to win me the game, and sometimes I just chuck it when I don't want it,
Yep.
Like, so, but yeah, I think I'm going to start this at a D+.
Yeah, that's certainly responsible. I'm gonna go on a limb, say it's like a synergy C.
I like it. I respect the synergy C.
Nice. All right. Next up, we've got a Ragged Recluse. This is 1 in a black for a 2/1. It's a human. At the beginning of your end step, if you discard a card this turn, you transform the Recluse. It turns into a 3/3 that when it attacks, you drain them for 1. They lose 1, you gain 1.
2-man 2/1 that flips into a 3/3 attacks and drains.
Yes,
that just says, do you have blood tokens?
Yeah, or other things that make you discard, which are not. There's a non-zero number of those.
This feels like a C+ to me.
It's kind of weird because like when it's good, it's very good. Like when you do get to discard the thing. So it flips on the end step, right? So it's going to block as a 3/3. It's never like attacking as a hasty 3/3. That's fine.
That's fine.
I guess it's like not the worst fail case. It's just like a 2/1 that can trade off if you don't have those things. Yeah, I'm pretty into this. It's kind of got sort of a Static Awakener vibes. Definitely not as good. But like, it's it's a small.
I mean, it's smaller. Like the difference between 3/3 and 4/4 is huge. But like yeah.
And drawing a card is certainly
better
nice
than
upside.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah. So what do you want to give this?
I'm going C+.
Yeah, I think so too. It's got enough stuff going on. It's got even life gain synergies, and just attacking as a 4-power creature essentially with like one of them that damage guaranteed is really nice.
Yep.
All right, I'm into it.
All right, so next up is Aim for the Head. 2 and a black for a sorcery. Choose one, exile target zombie. Target opponent exiles 2 cards from their hand. Interesting.
Yeah, so I mean, by the end of mid, I actually kind of liked No Way Out quite a bit. Now that was a different card, right?
Yeah, that was Mind Rot plus 2 Mind Rot plus 2 damage,
resource,
right?
Right? Yeah. So I mean, this is just to say that like sometimes Mind Rots end up being better, sometimes they end up being not so good. This one, if this is a format where Mind Rot is like a passable card, has a bit of additional text, it's gonna start as a D though. We'll come up on it if we come up on it, but
yeah, I think it's interesting. I mean, like the modality here, it does appeal to me. Like against whatever 40% of decks, this has targets.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah. Or
it's
maybe
it's the best of one Bob.
It's more, right?
I've ever seen one.
It's best of one Bob loves it. Rip best of one Bob. Never coming back. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so next up we've got Courier Bat. 2 and a black for a 2/2 bat with flying. When it enters the battlefield, if you gained life this turn, return up to 1 target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. That is some high upside there.
Baby, yeah. Yeah.
A potential common 3-mana 2/2 flying Gravedigger.
Yeah, if you can reliably enable those cards, this is going to be a pain. This is going to be a groan-inducing card from the opponent.
Right, the difference between this not triggering and triggering is wild.
Yeah, it's pretty large. I mean, it's a synergy card, right? Like, you got to have the life gain. But so many of the cards we've seen in the set, like, when we've been saying, oh, it's a synergy card, like, I'm going to repeat this again, even though, I think it's worth repeating, that a lot of times you just don't, it's not like you need to work for it. You just have to be aware of it, right? It's not like, oh, I need to go really out of my way to, like, draft this synergy that I wouldn't normally. Not so much. It's just like, I have this card, let me make sure I'm making some concessions to it. It's not like these giant hoops to jump through, though. You'll end up there.
Well, and I think I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the format, we're like, this is just a secret black, white, gold card. And that's what we mean by the synergy. We don't mean, like the sort of synergy or build aroundy aspect of it is the color pair, not sort of the picks you're making.
Yeah. Right, it's another little, point in the favor of that 1/1 tap steal life. I
agree.
think that might just be a key card potentially.
But again, I think for black, white, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but I would say like synergy B-. Like this synergy B, like this is wildly good.
I'd go synergy B-, yeah. All right, next up we've got Gluttonous Guest. This is a 3-mana card, 2 and a black vampire. It's a 1/4. It enters and you make a blood token, and whenever you sacrifice a blood token, you gain a life. Wow. That's sweet.
That's really sweet.
Yeah. And notably, this is not exclusive to this card, but anything that says whenever you sacrifice a blood token,
blah.
That's not just when you pay the 1 and discard a card. Like it's when you sacrifice to anything, so you can like gain 3 life sometimes, just like with no mana. Just like sacking to your creature that asks you to sacrifice the blood tokens. It's a nice blocker. Kind of has some synergy with itself too. It's like this, you're paying a mana to discard a card and draw a card, a little dirtily not affecting the board thing, but you gain a little bit of life back, and you over the course of like sacking a few blood tokens, that makes up for the fact that you've spent 3 mana just kind of doing some filtering or whatever.
3 mana 1/4 is my stat line.
I'm into it. Yeah, it's kind of got Sailor of Means vibes a little bit,
right?
Yeah.
Sailor of Veins? Oh my god. I love that. I'm giving this a C+.
Yeah, I think I'm going to give it a C+ as well. Like, like I was saying before, I think my baseline for anything that makes the blood token is pretty high, so I'm willing to put some stock into that. And give it a C+.
Next up is Pointed Discussion. 2 and a black for a sorcery. You draw 2 cards, lose 2 life, then create a blood token.
Interesting.
I'm gonna pass on this for now.
Yeah, I was just saying anything with a blood token, but I think this one I'm not as interested in. Yeah, like there's gonna be times when it's like, okay, like this guy, there's gonna be decks where you really want the blood token, but I think in general this is just like a whatever card. I'm gonna give this a D+.
We're not there. It's
What?
I'm like we're only halfway through the colors, and maybe it's just like the things that appeal to me are the things that are sticking in my mind. Because I am also remembering like white and blue do have some tempo-y stuff, but there's also a lot of like derping. There's a lot of like
Ethan, it's all those white cards you didn't like.
But which white cards? Oh, your 1-mana 1/1 vigilance.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Never mind. Moving on. So I'm gonna go D here. I think.
Be spooked with the 1-mana 1/1.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we've got Desperate Farmer, 2 and a black, 3 mana for a human peasant. It's a 2/2 lifelink. It says whenever another creature dies, you transform Desperate Farmer. Oh, sorry. Whenever another creature you control specifically transforms into a 4/3 lifelink.
3 mana 2/2 lifelink. Whenever another creature you control dies, transform it to a 4/3 lifelink. Fine.
I'm into it just because lifelink. Like honestly, I just love lifelink so much, and like it's a little bit undercosted or understated on the front side, but it's not that hard to make a trade, make it a 4/3.
So where do you like it at?
Probably just a C.
Yeah, C for me as well.
Sweet.
Okay, next up is Bleed Dry. It says 2 black for an instant. Target creature gets -13/-13 until end of turn. If it would die, exile it instead.
This is a lot. This is a lot of steps just to say feed the serpent, exile that creature.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I've learned anything in the last year or two of sets, it's this card slot, the 4-mana black removal spell, varies wildly.
Yes.
For like how good it is in the set. Sometimes it's like, it's really good. It's I can't actually think of the last time it was really good.
Blood Curdle.
Blood
one
Curdle,
of the last times. That granted menace too, but
yeah, or bake into a pie. And then sometimes not so good. It's Mage Hunter's Onslaught. It's Feed the Serpent, right?
I will say I think I was a Feed the Serpent truther.
Yeah.
In Kaldheim.
Yeah.
I will say I think Feed the Serpent, I think it's much more about context, as you're saying. It varies wildly.
Yes.
Not because the card is bad, because it's the same card
Yes.
set after set after set, but because black was fairly weak in that set. And so I think it'll depend. And what are your other options in terms of removal?
Well, also like 4-mana kill anything is not the most efficient thing. Like it's fine. Like it's you don't have to play it, but it does get clunky in multiples, right? Like look at the removal spells we just had in Midnight. Now, mind you, that was an exceptional set that the removal is very, very efficient, but.
Right.
4-mana, kill something is pales in comparison.
Right, for sure.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. What do you want to give? I'm gonna start as a C+.
Yeah, that's exactly. I thought you were gonna go C. I'm gonna go start it at C+ as well.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Next up, we got Blood Crazy Socialite. 4 mana, 3 and a black for a 3/3 menace vampire. When it enters the battlefield, you can make a blood token. Whenever it attacks, you may sacrifice a blood token. If you do, it gets +2/+2.
Wow, 5/5 menace?
And makes a blood token.
And then
I'm
you have more blood tokens? I think it's a C+.
Yeah, this is sweet.
It's impossible to block.
Yeah, this is cool.
Yeah. Wow, that's big.
It's big.
All right, never mind. This is an aggressive format. Next is Diagraph Scavenger. 3 and a black for a 2/3 Death Touch. When Diagraph Scavenger enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 target card from a graveyard. If a creature card was exiled this way, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life.
Man, these diagraphs, they've got it out for you, Ethan. They're just all about eating your
Did you see that they at least put Diagraph Horde at the correct rarity this set?
Yeah, wait, what? Which,
it's a mythic.
I did.
We'll get there. It's a mythic, but...
yeah.
Like, the fact that card is a mythic, I'm like, do you see what the problem is here? This is so much more reasonable.
But this card's still very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this is essentially Vampire Spawn, 1 more mana, but with Death Touch.
Yes. And without flashback in the format, like the creatures that you're gonna try and exile to get value are gonna be the disturbed creatures anyway, so
yeah, I'm into this card. It's can't underrate instant life game. This is more a Vampire Spawn card than Diagraph Horde card, to be honest with you.
Right, I agree with that.
Yeah.
another C plus.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a C, but maybe we're at risk of overrating the 4-drops a little bit. But these are 2 4-drops I'm actively excited about. So we'll see.
It'll be interesting to see how they shake out. I mean, we're
Exactly.
gonna have to. I would say of these, is that the last one? No, yeah, those are the 3. I would put the vampire, the menace at the top of the heap of those 3.
Yep. Yeah, chat says we're giving C plus to a lot of 4-drops. I agree, like we were just saying. But all that really means is that they're good. They're requisite power level for your 4-drop. You just can't draft too many of them. That's all.
Yeah, and that you don't need to prioritize them because if they're all good, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I'm just noting raw power level. That's all.
Yeah, I think just because they're they're all 4-drops doesn't mean they can't all be C pluses too.
If you're somebody who likes to use grades as where should I take this card in the draft, that's something that maybe that matters for sure. If we're rating a C plus, that doesn't mean you need to third pick it. I think mostly we're just saying here's what the raw power level, ballpark power level card is, and sometimes it gets a modifier, of course. That
is an important distinction. Our first 5-drop here is Rot-Tide Gargantua, 3 black for a 5/4 zombie Kraken. There you go for your blue mythic. It has exploit, and it says when it exploits a creature, each opponent sacrifices a creature. So turns your 2-drop into an edict.
Yeah, not so into this one.
Not me either. Too much.
Yeah, it's clunky. I mean,
I would just rather have another 4-drop.
Yeah, another one of the death touching 2/3s or whatever. Yeah, this is medium. I'm just gonna give this a C minus. I think maybe D plus even.
C minus seems fine to me.
Cool.
There'll be some, edict or whatever, some exploit decks where you like this, but.
All right, we got the our meme card of the set. We got Unhallowed Phalanx. This is 4 and a black for a 1/13. It's a zombie soldier and it enters tapped.
I mean, I think this may come as a shock to people, but I'm not actually that excited about this card.
Yeah, I know. I think it's more funny than good.
Yeah, it'll be cool to curve your tree folk on 4 into this in the black green butts deck, and that's gonna win you some games sometimes. But yikes.
It's like a 5-mana slow removal spell for every creature without flying or menace or death touch or an activated ability.
And those are the cards that really matter in limited.
Exactly. You really care about those vanilla.
And this coming into play tapped is so bad for your 5-drop.
Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty out. Even so, if you had the nuts black green big butts deck,
I think you don't want to play this.
I think you could if you had 3 of the gold uncommon, but even still, I think it's more acute than good. But maybe, who knows? 13's big. 13 is big.
I would what I much rather want, if we're describing the nuts black green deck, then I just want high toughness 2 and 3 drops, and then drop that on 4 and go, you're dead.
Sure. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I think exactly. Anyway, okay, so I mean,
I think this is a D plus.
I'm in for that. Okay.
Yeah. Last is Grizzly Ritual, 5 and a black for a sorcery. Destroy target creature or planeswalker. Create 2 blood tokens.
Okay. It's expensive. It's clunky. It's sorcery speed.
But kind of says it's kind of 6 mana kill a thing, draw 2.
Yeah, and sort of. It's you won't
in the late
flood
game.
after. Yeah, you won't flood after you cast this.
There are gonna be. I think if your deck is set up as it seems, certainly black white, Rise of Extus. There you go.
Yeah.
I think there are going to be some decks. I think this card is good.
Yeah, I don't want to write this one off. I think it is. It's very easy to be expensive removal spell. I just don't want to play it. But those blood tokens, they keep playing me back in. And look, I want to note that maybe we are in the context of how many blood payoffs there actually are in this set, which I think is less than there were decay tokens, to be clear. Maybe we're overrating how good a blood token is, but I think just the baselines of what I'm going in with, I think the 2 blood tokens really do matter on this. So what do you want to give this, a C?
I think, I'm not saying, so again, I just want to grade this on raw power rather than, I don't want to play, this isn't like Rise of Extus where you would play however many copies you got.
Right, yeah.
But I think, I don't think it would be crazy to think 1 to 2 copies in a black deck that goes to the late game. That this is good. This could end up. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna see it. I'm gonna say the first copy's a C.
Black also is pretty good at, from what we've seen, looks kind of good at not dying. Right? It's got the 1/4 that makes a blood token. It's got the 2/3 death touch that drains. It's got some good, good defensive 2 drops. So yeah, I think black can grind pretty well.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Next up, we got our first uncommon here, Dread Fugue. Single black mana, sorcery. It's got Cleave, and its Cleave cost is 3, 2 in black. Target player reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from that. In the brackets, it says with mana value 2 or less. That player discards it. So basically, the 1 mana version, you look at their hand, you take a 2 mana value card or less, or if you kick it for, you cleave it for 3 mana, you can take anything. Yeah, kind of bad. I think it's more of a constructed card than anything. It's fine. Like,
targeted hand disruption without like additional upside, like a Toll of the Invasion or whatever, is not that good. I think I would say sideboard.
Yep, pretty out on it.
Next up, I've got Ben. Ben is in the spreadsheet grading the cards right now, and he is in our tab. And I was like, go to another tab. Go grade any other color than black right now. Anyway, next up, we've got the other half. We've got Groom's Finery here. 1 in a black for an equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+0. It gets an additional +0/+2 and has Death Touch as long as an equipment named Bride's Gown is attached to a creature you control and it has the equip cost of 2. Again, no thank you.
Yeah, we covered this when we talked about the Bride's Gown, and I don't feel any differently now that we've looked through another 100 cards or so. So I'm going to give this one also, the D- or whatever we gave it.
Yeah.
All right, next up, we've got Parasitic Grass. So this is 1 in a black for an instant. It's got Cleave, 1 black. Parasitic Grass deals 3 damage to target, in brackets, human creature. You gain 3 life. So for 1 black, you can deal 3 damage. You gain 3 life to any human, or, to any creature. 1 in a black, so it's cheaper if you target a human, essentially.
Yeah.
This is great.
This is good.
This is quite good.
This is Soul Siphon or whatever. Essence, anything. 3 mana, deal 3, gain 3 is good.
Yeah, it's a good deal.
Is a B.
Just, removal spells that gain life, especially cheap ones like this, really impactful. So yeah, I'm giving this like a B.
Yeah, B. Could even be B+, I would see. Next, we got Undead Butler. 1 in a black for a 1/2 zombie. When it ETBs, mill 3. And when Undead Butler dies, you may exile it, and when you do, return target creature card from graveyard to your hand. A little bit more exploit fodder.
Yeah, that's some exploit fodder there. It's a nice one, right? Just feels the grave.
It's a 2 mana 1/2 though.
Sure. It's got kind of what's it called? The occultist, novice occultist vibes to it.
Yeah, sure, I can see that.
Yeah.
Which wasn't very good.
No, yeah, that is fair. That is fair.
So,
but novice occultist was in a set where the best. There wasn't there was decay tokens running around, and also there wasn't that many reasons to sacrifice. You had your Flesh Taker, and you had your Eaten Alive and Eccentric or Static Awakener. But outside of that, there wasn't much. Here we have a whole class of cards that actually want you to sacrifice something.
So a synergy C+, or do you think it's just good on its own?
I think I'm just gonna give it a C. I think
C.
I think you can play it in any deck, and then you're actively gonna want it in those decks that are splitting.
Right, that's fair.
All right, next up, Restless Bloodseeker. 1 in a black for a 1/3 vampire. At the beginning of your end step, if you gain life this turn, create a blood token. It also has sack 2 blood tokens, transform Restless Bloodseeker. Activate this only as a sorcery. Turns into a 3/3 with the same ability. If you gain life, you get a blood token at the end of your end step. And it also has another ability, 4 in a black, 5 mana. Each opponent loses 2 life. You gain 2 life.
This card's sick.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's doing a lot of little things, right? The life gain payoff gives you blood tokens, turns into this this mana sink that ends the game quickly. Not that quickly, I guess, but helps you in the game.
Yeah, I like this at a B.
Yeah, it's certainly you need it in a life gain deck. Most right? I mean,
why do you need this in a life gain deck? Oh, because
if you gain life. Oh, sure, you could use it in a blood deck too. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, and then the backside feels itself, right?
Yeah, I just think in black, this is you're either gonna have life or blood tokens, and if not, what are you doing?
Yeah, the backside I actually didn't grok that on first read, but it's really 5 mana drain to make a blood token, right?
Yeah.
That's what it's saying. Yeah, no, you're right. I think there's enough.
This might just be a B+, honestly.
A B+, wow, that's high.
It's so good and so cheap.
I'm gonna give it a B.
All right. B+. I think B+ is that high. I'm gonna give it a B. Cool. Okay.
So
no. What's up?
No. I was just gonna say that it's cool because I was just saying, oh, it's for the life gain deck, and then you were like, oh no, it can be any deck, any blood token deck. I'm wondering as we're going through the set, I was going through black specifically, how much are these for the life gain deck that really matters because a lot of these black cards just gain life naturally. So
yeah, it may not be hard to trigger that. Next up is Archghoul of Thraben, 2 and a black for a 3/2 zombie cleric. When it or another zombie you control dies, look at the top card of your library. If it's a zombie card, you may reveal it and put it into your hand. If you don't put the card into your hand, you may put it into your graveyard.
Whew.
So
that's a card.
When it or another zombie you control dies, you get to surveil, right? Period?
Yes.
Because you can choose to keep the card on top.
Yep.
And then if it's a zombie, you get to just draw it.
That's a card.
That's a card.
So it's got sort of more opportunist vibes but the difference is it's a little bit bigger, and
it triggers on itself.
Deck. Yeah, it triggers on itself, and it's specific to just the zombie deck. But if you're in a deck where you can trigger this constantly, or you're getting zombies constantly, it's gonna reach more of an opportunist level. I think it is less good in that card, but it's in a similar space.
Well, Morbid Opportunist was just good. This is a build round.
Yes. So it means I'm never going to draft it, right?
You're never going to play this card. That's what it sounds like to me. Like
this card's good, though. I really like this card. I think I would give it a B.
I don't think this on its own is a B.
So, so give it the build around rider then?
I think so.
Okay.
But I feel like you're scoffing at that a little bit.
No, not at all. Not at all, Ethan.
Right, no.
Why would you imply that? No, I just think that I guess I'm more willing to
because if this is just you got a couple, if you got a couple zombies in your deck, this is whatever. It's a 3-mana 3/2 when it dies surveil 1 with whatever 6% of the time you draw a card.
Yeah, I guess my thought is just it's not going to be that hard to pick up zombies. Is all I'm thinking.
I mean, it is, but I think but I think it is. Outside of being because in one deck that may not be that hard. But in every deck, in every other deck, it's gonna be kind of hard. And black red is gonna be kind of hard to get zombies.
Let's give it the build around then.
Yeah, sorry, we're never gonna get through the set review. What do we got here? Next up is what?
Ooh, we've got Fel Stinger, 1 and a black for a 3/2 death touch. Exploit. When it exploits a creature, target player loses 2 life and draws 2 cards.
I like this.
Yeah, that's an exploit card and just a good creature.
This is 3-mana 3/2 death touch is just good. And then the fact that you can sometimes just draw 2, gain 2, or draw 2, lose 2, some small percentage of the time, this will kill your opponent.
Yeah, imagine sacking just something as basic as a Doom Dissenter, right? Getting 2/2.
Doom Dissenter into this, that is a great curve.
That's a curve. This one, I don't think we can agree, does not require that much build around. I think it's just a great card.
Put creatures in your deck, profit.
Yeah. Want to give it a B?
At the very least, yeah.
Okay.
I like it at B.
Let's do it.
All right, Alex, how do you feel about this rarity shift?
So, Hero's Downfall is your next card, which is 1 black for an instant, destroy target creature or planeswalker. I posted on Twitter this week when this card was previewed that, man, this card being an uncommon just officially has made me feel like a Magic boomer. Because I remember when this card was previewed as a rare back in original Theros, and I was like, wow, that's so cool, that's amazing, it's so cheap, and it kills planeswalkers. They back then they didn't talk about planeswalkers on cards. It just wasn't a thing. Now we see it all the time. And so just seeing this uncommon just it has me reeling. But anyways, this is just murder essentially, which is just a great card, and we're always gonna play that, and I'm gonna give it a B+.
Yeah. But Alex, you hate removal.
I know, I hate removal. I like efficient removal.
Yeah.
I like really efficient removal.
It's funny that that's probably still worse than Infernal Grasp from the last set.
Potentially, yeah. Two's big.
Next up here, we got Catapult Fodder, 2 and a black for a 1/5 zombie. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control 3 or more creatures that each have toughness greater than their power, transform Catapult Fodder into Catapult Captain. Upgrade to a 2/6 zombie, and you can pay 2 and a black and tap it. Sacrifice another creature. Target opponent loses life equal to the sacrificed creature's toughness.
Woof. Is this a better payoff than the Golden Common?
That's an interesting question.
It kills them very quickly.
Yeah, that's fair.
I guess so does the 4/4.
So does that 4-mana 4/4 that's also turning your 3-mana 1/4 into a 4/4. They both are good. They're both good.
I wonder how incidental this is. This is definitely something to look on the numbers of the set of how many creatures qualify for toughness greater than their power. But this doesn't seem like something you have to build around, at least to some extent.
To some extent, for sure. Right. You don't care about a 3-mana 1/5. But like we saw black have the common 3-mana 1/4. I don't know. I like this at a build around B, I think.
Yeah, it's powerful.
Yeah.
Sweet. This next card is just all sorts of confusing.
So out on this card.
Skulking Killer, 3 and a black, 4-mana 4/4/2 Vampire Assassin. When Skulking Killer enters the battlefield, target creature or opponent controls get -2/-2 until end of turn. If that opponent controls no other creatures only. You only get that effect if they have no other creatures. So, like, if your opponent is just stabilized, they just played they were missing land drops, they just played their 2-drop for the game. You've been hitting your land drops and you go, play this, punish you for falling behind. You know?
This is like a D-.
Yeah, exactly. And then when it's just like not good most other times. I mean, you're gonna find spots where you're like, oh man, if I trigger out this creature, they can nab it with Skulking Killer. But I think this card's just too medium most of the time. So yeah, I'm on D for this one.
Yeah. Doesn't make any sense to me. Next up is Bloodsworn Squire. 3 and a black for a 3/3 Vampire Soldier. Strap in. 1 and a black, discard a card. Bloodsworn Squire gains indestructible until end of turn. Tap it. Then, if there are 4 or more creature cards in your graveyard, transform Bloodsworn Squire into Bloodsworn Knight, which is a star. It has power and toughness, each equal to the number of creature cards in your graveyard, so at least a 4/4. And then has the same 1 and a black, discard a card, indestructible, tap it ability.
Yeah. It's a little bit clunky, like just being a 3 power 4-drop that you have to like pay 2 and discard a card.
This is why I love looking at one of the reasons I love looking at the cards through mana value. Mm-hmm. And this is just worse than all 3 of the common 4-drops, right?
Yeah.
This is just never. You're just never gonna have room for this, or so rarely. Like, and I don't think. I don't know. How do I put this? Like, there was that same problem in blue with Hoarder and Revenge of the Drowned versus something like Firmament Sage, which I do think ended up being a good card, just sort of in the right deck. What's that?
Worse than the other 4.
Exactly, but it's just like, well, I'm never cutting Revenges or Organ Hoarders, so sorry, Firmament Sage. Like, unless I don't have those, you're not gonna make the cut.
Yeah.
This is worse. This seems clunkier to me than Firmament Sage, and so I just like, I don't know. I'm not into it personally.
Yeah, I'm not so into it either. I think it's just like, it's just too clunky for not a great payoff. Like, what's your payoff? You get a 4/4?
4/4.
Is like indestructible and you have to like basically regeneration.
I say D.
Yeah, I'm not. I think this is like a C-.
Oh, so that seems high to me, but sure.
Okay. Yeah. Next up, we've got Innocent Travelers. This is 2 black for a 1/3. 4-mana 1/3 here. It says, at the beginning of your upkeep, any opponent may sacrifice a creature. If no one does, transform Innocent Traveler. It transforms into a 3/3 flying vampire that has +2/+0 as long as an opponent controls a human.
I mean, yikes. This card is so bad.
So you know how I feel about Phantom Monsters, right, Ethan?
But can I interest you in a Phantom Monster that that your opponent gets to decide if you have it or not?
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, okay, so a 5/3 flyer is nothing to scoff at. That's a pretty good creature, right, for 4 mana. But that was only after you have a turn cycle of you playing a 1/3, that doesn't really affect the board that much, and then they can choose not to give you a 5/3, and you only get a 5/3 if they have a human, which, mind you, is a common creature type. But all this added together just seems not good to me.
Yeah, I'm out.
Yep.
Another D for me.
Yep, I'm in with you there.
Oh, I like this card a lot. Edgar's Awakening, 3 black for a sorcery. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. When you discard Edgar's Awakening, you may pay black. When you do, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand.
Yeah, like you guys were talking about in the show this week. It's like a modal card. 5 mana, reanimate. 1 mana, if you can discard it, to raise it. So yeah, it's a nice little flexible card. I think the the 5 mana reanimation slot is not often like something we're dying to play, but a little bit of flexibility is nice. So,
no, I am much more like, I think that will be the rare cast of this. I think more often you're using your blood tokens, discarding this, and getting a free raise dead.
Exactly. That's the point to make. It's card advantage when you discard this card, right? Yeah.
So I like this a lot at C+ probably.
I think a lot of the time, even when you can cast it, you're just gonna want to discard
you want to discard it because
yeah.
you get the 2 because it's free, right?
Yeah, you want to get the card advantage. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, next up we've got Wedding Security. 3 black, 4/4 Vamp Soldier. When it attacks, you can sacrifice a blood token. If you do, you put a counter on the security and you draw a card.
Yeah. I mean, so this attacks as a 5/5.
Yep.
Not hard to double block this, but also scary to double block this into open mana.
Yeah, I think this is reasonable.
I think it's pretty good.
I'm not huge on it, but it's a solid card.
It's probably like a C.
Yeah.
I don't like that it doesn't make a blood token, I'm going to be honest.
Well, it's a good place to put all your blood tokens. Although it is
sure, but most of blood tokens don't need you to put them anywhere. They're just going to do something for you.
Right. Yeah, I'm in for C. And it's, like another point you guys brought up on the podcast this week is the cheap cards are always so much better than the expensive cards.
I know
even
that
the expensive cards look good.
I think before Ben said that, I would have been like C+, B-.
Yeah.
I just think sure, who cares? Who cares? It's
Yeah.
5 mana.
All right. C?
Yeah, I think C.
All right, cool.
All right, first rare. We got Concealing Curtains. Single black for an 0/4 wall with Defender. Pay 2 and a black, transform Concealing Curtains only as a sorcery, and it transforms into Revealing Eye. It's a 3/4 with Menace. When this creature transforms into Revealing Eye, target opponent reveals their hand. You may choose a non-land card from it. If you do, that player discards that card, then draws a card.
Oh, I'm into this card. This card's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Ecstatic Awakener.
Yeah, it actually is like Ecstatic Awakener. With you don't need you don't need a 2-card combo. It's just its own combo.
Combos with itself.
Right? Yeah. So it comes down, it blocks for the first few turns, and then when you transform it, that ability reads. Okay, so if you're reading this kind of ability for the first time, it probably reads a lot worse than you might think. You're like, oh, they have to draw a card? I'm not that into it. But messing up, taking their best card and replacing it with a random card is still very powerful. And the information you gain from knowing their hand is also pretty powerful too. All that stapled to essentially a 3/4 menace. That's just a great body. So I'm super into this card. I think it's an A-.
Yeah, this card's great. And the other thing to note is that it's a May. So if you look at your opponent's hand and you go, I can deal with all of this, cool. Stand pat,
And you're like, cool, I now just have a 3/4 menace.
Yeah, that card's great.
Often what'll happen is you'll take the removal spell, right? So you're like, you can't kill my 3/4 menace.
Uh-huh.
So now you have to go through the trouble of trying to block it, which is difficult in the first place because you can get blown up by combat tricks or interaction spells. So, yep.
What's next?
Got Graph Reaver, 1 and a black for 3/3 zombie warrior with exploit. When it exploits a creature, destroy target planeswalker. Okay, so not that great. At the beginning of your upkeep, Graph Reaver deals a damage to you.
I mean, a 2-mana 3/3 is good.
It's okay, yeah. The damage matters.
Damage matters. This is much more a constructed card than it is.
Yeah, for sure.
Again,
I'm going to point out again, if you have a lot of good things to sacrifice, this is just a thing you can use to sacrifice them. But if you were just to put this card in your deck as a 2-mana 3/3, you lose a life on each of your.
What do you mean what do you mean if you have a bunch of stuff to sacrifice?
Here is, you ended up in an exploit deck where you're like, oh, I have these eggs, right? And I have the 1/2 that mills 3. I want you actively.
Oh, you just need things that say exploit.
Exactly, yeah. Which is not a corner case, but it's gonna be not the norm I expect, right? You're gonna pick up enough of the good stuff with exploit. You must have a reason to be drafting the deck you're drafting, right?
Yeah.
But if you were just to boil this down to 2-mana 3/3, at the beginning of your upkeep you lose life, I think that card's fine. It's like a C.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about this.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we've got Vuldarian Bloodcaster. This is 1 and a black for a 2/1. It's a vampire wizard that's flying. When it or another non-token creature you control dies, you make a blood token. Whenever you create a blood token, if you control 5 or more blood tokens, transform Vuldarian Bloodcaster, all right, Magda, into Bloodbat Summoner. It's a 3/3 flyer. At the beginning of combat on your turn, up to 1 target blood token you control becomes a 2/2 black bat creature with flying and haste in addition to its other types. Oh my.
Oh, very high ceiling. Just a 2/1 flyer that whenever something dies, you get a blood, even itself, right? And then, if you end up with 5, which mind you, 5 is pretty pretty substantial. You get to, have a bigger flyer, and your blood becomes little bats that can back in. This card's good.
I think this is at least a B+.
Yeah, I'd probably go B+ in this one. It's a lot of value.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Next up, we've got Demonic Bargain. 2 and a black, sorcery. Exile the top 13 cards in your library, then search your library for a card. Put the card in your hand, then shuffle. So it's a tutor effect for 3 mana, which is less than we usually see, but you gotta exile the top 13 cards in your library.
I don't like this.
No, this isn't very good. So let's say you had the best card in your set in your deck, and you had this card. You still probably wouldn't play it, not because you're gonna mill out, but because half the time the reason you're playing this card will get exiled.
Yeah.
So yeah, this one's just a net.
Agreed. Next is Dying to Serve. 2 and a black for an enchantment. Whenever you discard 1 or more cards, create a tapped 2/2 black zombie creature token. This ability triggers only once each turn. Yummy.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a good way to use, so turning your blood tokens into zombies, essentially.
Yeah.
And you can, do once on your turn, once on your opponent's turn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's cool. Heavy blood deck. It's just a good card.
Unfortunately, you'll never play it because it's a build around.
It's a build around, exactly.
What
do you want to give this one?
Build around B-?
Yeah, I think it's a good grade. It's a good payoff, but it's not so overwhelming that you feel like you're taking over the game instantly.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next up we have Falconroth Forbearer. 2 and a black for a 3/1 flying vampire. You can't block. When it deals combat damage to a player, you make a blood token. Single black mana and sacrifice 2 blood tokens. Return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield.
These rares are good.
Yeah.
This is a B.
Yeah, this is like, a Skyclave Shade or that kind of card. But this is a good version of it, right? This has flying, clocks real hard.
Yeah.
And yeah, accrues value each time you deal damage to them. Yeah, this is a nice one. I think this is a B as well.
Yeah. All right. Next up we have Headless Rider. 2 and a black for a 3/1 zombie. When it or another non-token zombie you control dies, make a 2/2 black zombie creature token.
Oh wow, this is a payoff.
My God.
Yeah, this is really good. Assuming you've got a lot of zombies. Okay, forget about it.
This is just good. 3 mana 3/1 that dies into a 2/2.
Yeah, that's nice. And then any other additional zombies, they're gonna kill this before they kill anything else, of course, right? But sometimes you're in combat, you're like, well, you've played this after you played some zombies, you attack with the zombies, and you're like, well, I would have traded with the zombies, but I can't anymore because you just make more zombies essentially. So yeah, this is a nice little tight little package. I think this is like a B+.
Yeah, man. These are powerful.
These black rares are none of them are busted, but they're all just wow, super rock solid.
Path of Peril is next. This is a cleave card, so you either pay 1 black to destroy all creatures with mana value 2 or less, or the cleave cost is 4 white to destroy all creatures.
Not so into this one. It's okay. The non-cleaved section of it, or the 1 black is pretty narrow. Kills tokens, kills small things, but I think overall I'm not so into this. The Wrath effect's also pretty expensive. The 6 mana Wrath.
You've been championing this for a while, but Wraths just aren't good in limited.
We said it. Maybe it sounds like a controversial take for those who haven't heard our other set reviews, but it's not to say they're all bad, but they're not just generically good. I think is maybe the more responsible way for me to say that. It takes a lot. Your Wrath has to be pretty good for it to be better than your average playable.
Last set was unique, but there were 6 mana Wraths aren't good. Vanquish the Horde was not good. So many times you Wrath, you play burn down the house, your opponent goes Falcon Abomination, bring back Bait Hook Angler, and you're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I thought I just played a Wrath.
The thing is, there's so many value-oriented mechanics on cards these days where you're okay, number one, the cards hit harder. Where it's just okay, I can't wait until turn 4, turn 5 to Wrath the board because I
can't not affect the board before my Wrath.
Yeah, and then other times it's okay, I don't really want to Wrath because they get value on their death triggers or whatever. It's not even that good for me, and they still have 4 cards in hand or whatever. It's not like you destroy them, right? There's the small situation where it's okay, this is really good because we are in a top deck situation and we're kind of stalled at the board. I drew my Wrath, now I can wait a little bit and then Wrath, right? Vanquish was an exception. The Wraths in the last set were actually an exception because Vanquish was extremely cheap and played well with your own disturbed creatures, and Burn Down the House had an additional mode, which is very good, right? And Meat Hook, of course, was absurd. But, like, you're just, like, traditional 5-mana or 6-mana Wrath that just has destroy all creatures. I don't think it cuts it anymore. You gotta give me something on top of that.
Yeah. I think this is like a C.
I think so, too. I think so, too. All right. Next up, we got Blood Vial Purveyors. This is 2 black for a 5/6 flying trample vampire. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, that player creates a blood token. All right, not so great. Whenever it attacks, it gets +1/+0 for each blood token defending player controls.
Oh, cool. So you have to kill this immediately or you die.
This is gigantic, yeah.
This is incredible, yeah. I mean, so you give them tokens to dig towards their... Wait.
Yeah, you give them blood. It helps them, you can dig through... They can dig closer to a removal spell or something.
But whatever. They got a couple turns for that.
They're dying very quickly here.
This is an A.
It's kind of funny in the blood mirror match too, where maybe they just have random blood tokens lying around. And you're like, okay, hit you for an additional 3. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm in for A on this one.
Cool. Next is Sorin the Mirthless. 2 black for a 4 loyalty walker. Look at the top, +1. Look at the top card of your library. You may reveal that card and put it into your hand. If you do, you lose life equal to its mana value. -2, make a 2/3 black vampire creature token with flying and lifelink. Wow. And -7, Sorin the Mirthless deals 13 damage to any target. You gain 13 life. I gotta tell you, the 13 thing in the Innistrad sets is really played out for me. Like,
yeah, it's a little...
It was cute in OG Innistrad, and then I gotta say, stop it. Just cut it out.
So this is a vampire Nighthawk machine. Just, like, powers them out, right?
Well, they don't have Death Touch.
Oh, you're right. They don't. Yeah, I thought it was. Yeah, it's true. Okay, I missed that actually. Okay, cool.
No, just 2/3 flying lifelink. Those are fine.
No, no big deal.
Yeah,
it's still very, very good.
This
and the top ability is
This card is still very good.
Top ability, you can draw lands, so you don't take any damage if you want, or cheap spells, or maybe the expensive spell is just good enough. So yeah, what do you want to give this one? This is just the negative.
This is just an A.
Yeah, I think this is just an A as well.
Yeah.
The negative works because you gain life back from the life loss, so
right.
Kind of cool. All right, this one is much more similar to Vampire Nighthawk. So we have Henrika Domnathi. So this is 2 black for a 1/3 flyer. So 4 mana 1/3 flyer, not so great. But at the beginning of combat in your turn, choose one that hasn't been chosen. Either each player sacks a creature, you draw a card and lose a life, or you can transform Henrika. She transforms into a 3/4 flying death touch lifelink and activated ability, 1 black. Each creature you control with flying, death touch, or lifelink gets +1/+0 until end of turn.
Where do I sign? It's another great card. Then a B+.
All good thing. So she can, unlike the uncommon, the 1/3 that turns into a 3/3 flyer, she can transform right away.
Yeah.
Which, if you would like to, if you need her to come down as a 4 mana 3/4 flying death touch lifelink, you can do that. Or if the sacrifice thing is good for you, you can do that. Or you can just draw a card off of her. So she's like a cantripping, 4 mana 3/4 flying death touch lifelink, and then she pumps herself and other creatures. This is just an A. This card's just great.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Next is Diagraph Horde. Cemetery Desecrator. 4 black for a 4/4 zombie menace. This is a mythic. Okay. When Cemetery Desecrator enters the battlefield or dies, exile another card from a graveyard. When you do, choose one. Remove X counters from target permanent, where X is the mana value of the exiled card. Or target creature an opponent controls gets -X until end of turn, where X is the mana value of the exiled card.
Well, it's a good card. It's a great card, even.
It's a great card, even.
It's just funny how it's comparable to, the common from the last set. I mean, it does a different thing. It kills something rather than...
It kills something, whatever, but...
Yeah. Anyways,
yeah.
We already talked about how we don't like comparing cards from other sets, right, Ethan?
That's right.
So what do you think about this card in this set?
This card seems very good to me.
Yeah, it's just great. It's just a big...
This is a Titan. This is an A.
It comes in, kills something, and I mean, it leaves behind a nice body. This is probably just another A.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, here's one that the folks have been clamoring about. We've got Dreadfast Demon. 5 black for a 6/6 demon flying. At the beginning of your end step, sacrifice a non-demon creature. If you do, create a copy of Dreadfast Demon.
Excuse me?
So you want to kill it? You've got one turn. Oh, and that's my turn, by the way.
Yeah, this is gross. Like, I'll give it a 7-mana tax by going A-.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's what I would come down to. And like, maybe they're just going wide enough, or they dealt you enough damage that when you cast this in 7, it's not going to completely take over the game. But I mean, any board state where you're at all slightly stabilized, like this even stabilizes you a little bit, upgrading your small creatures into big ones. So it's just going to take over the game. So yeah, I agree with the A- here.
Lastly is Toxrill the Corrosive. 5 black for a 7/7 slug horror. At the beginning of each end step, put a slime counter on each creature you don't control. Creatures you don't control get -1/-1 for each slime counter on them. Whenever a creature you don't control with a slime counter on it dies, make a 1/1 black slug creature token. And you can pay blue-black, sacrifice a slug, draw a card.
These mythics, these black mythics.
I mean, I just want to give you a rundown here. We had NF, we had a C-, C, and then the Wrath at C, and then everything else is like B+, and then like 6 A's.
Yeah, some good blackers in the set for sure. Which, to be fair, the uncommons were they left a bit to be desired.
That's fair.
Okay, so this monster is 7/7 for 7 that comes in, and basically by the time you get back to your turn, your opponent's creatures have got -2, -2. Because you put a counter on each end step, right?
Oh, okay. Thank you for clarifying that. I missed that.
Yeah, it's not just on yours. Yeah. So I mean, they're going to be smaller on their turn. You're going to kill some of their creatures, right? And you've just got a bunch of additional text that it doesn't really need to be.
That's another A. I will give this the 7-mana tax by bumping it from A+ to A.
Yeah, I think so too. It's just like so absurd though. There's so many things about this. Oh, also, you can have the cool slime monster or sludge monster combo that also puts slime counters on things.
Oh, great. So that's the constructed deck?
Yeah, the Innistrad Midnight had double feature, right?
Coming soon to a theater near you.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
right.
Yeah. We're following up. We're ending on a good one here. Toxrill's just nuts.
Yeah. All right, that's black.